Hi guys, welcome back to Barrovian Made. Today in this episode, we're going to be making a push stick or a push rod or whatever you want to call it. This is the push rod that came with my table saw, and these things are horrible. For one, your hand's very far away and you can't put very much downward force on it because, obviously when you're pushing through a table saw, you don't want the very tip of your workpiece rising up like that. So this doesn't help with that. This just keeps your hand out your way and doing that. And also, these things shatter if you accidentally hit the blade, and obviously accidents happen all the time, don't you? I had one of these on my old table saw and it got ruined because as soon as the blade hit it, shattered into a million pieces. So I want to make a push rod where I can put that downward force on and get my hands nice and out of the way of the workpiece. So we've got some scrap 18-inch ply here. What I'm going to do, extend my blade out as far as it will go, measure how far that is, see how far away I want to put my handle, and draw out everything we need. All right, so my cutting capacity is exactly 85 millimeters on the table saw. So however shape we make this, my hand needs to be 85 centimeters away from the blade. So no matter what happens, I'm not going to nick myself or do anything like that. So we've got my pencil. We'll just mark up. We'll do 10 or 100 millimeters just to be extra safe, so we can get our hands away from the blade. All right. So no matter what, my hand or the handle has to be above this line. And also we want a little notch in the corner because, as you can see here, we have this so we can push against the thing. The only thing is, though, I don't like how tall this is, because quite a lot of the times I'm cutting things that are smaller than this width and it gets caught on the end of the table saw, and then I'm sat there lifting it up and doing all sorts and basically taking my attention away from the blade and the cut onto this, and that's a bad thing. So we want to leave, I'm going to, actually, let's measure it for the folks at home. I'm just going to leave 10 millimeters or 1 centimeter of a little notch there to be able to bump up against the bottom of the wood. So all this needs to be cut out. How long am I going to make it? We'll make it 35 centimeters or 350 millimeters long. Measure up 10 from here. All this needs to be cut away here. And we'll do a little notch there. We'll come in at an angle like that. And for the handle, what's going to be the best way to hold it? Oh, I'm knocking the camera. Sorry, guys. We'll have our handle coming in like, oh, how tall's my hand? So my hand ends around about here. We'll make it a little bit longer. Instead of cutting it there, we'll put it to there, shall we? And put it around a bit. Yep. All right, I think that's going to be our push rod. Our hand's going to be plenty out of the way. In fact, we've bumped it up to 13 millimeters. So we're going to go ahead. We'll cut this square out here, and we'll figure out how we're going to cut the rest of it. I have no idea what this angle is, but I'm just going to put it where it looks relatively right, and I'll swing my miter saw sled around to that angle. Yeah, that looks good enough. Let me lock off the sled. Oh, is my nut just stripped? Oh, my nut's just stripped. Right, I'm going to have to fix that at some point. I'll just have to try and hold it roughly in the right angle for now. God damn it. I don't like that angle, so I'm going to go again. That's better. Oh, and it looks like we can get just about the right angle to cut this as well. Yeah. Let me try to line it up as best I can. There we go. So far, you're sort of getting the idea of how this is going to work. Get rid of these scraps. Alright, we'll cut the same angle on this side. That's going to be a good grip. Yeah, we'll go big for now. We can just keep whittling parts off until it feels right. Might have got that on the first try, actually. That feels pretty good. Right, so we've got the rough shape cut out of how we want it now. What we need to do is get rid of this here. Right, and because of the angle of the blade here, I'm not gonna go all the way down to our line. I'm gonna stop a bit further ahead and do the rest with a saw so we can get a nice flat, accurate cut there. But let's go ahead and cut this little strip out. And I'll finish cutting this off with a normal saw. To make sure I've got this as flat as possible, I'm going to quickly check the square. I've got my cut line all the way up to the top of the vise, so I can't go any deeper, and I know that's going to be level this way. But is this level to the thing? No, it needs to come this way. There we go. Oh, that's loosening it. Idiot. Let's do this again. There we go. Remember, righty tighty, lefty loose it. There we go. I'll go grab my saw. And let's carry on working down to that line. There we go. Now we have our little nub. Everything's all ready to go. And before we start shaping this and spending any more time on this, let's see how she cuts first, see if we're happy with this, and see if we need to make a new one before we start going around. And oh, well, a little bit too far on my table saw. Ah well, bit of character, never hurt anyone. Right, let's see how this is to use. Because before we start working on it, we want to make sure it's comfortable. Like we don't want it to be like dragging our fist along the fence. We want to make sure that we can push down. Maybe the angle of the handle isn't right and it feels weird pushing it through. So let's make a few cuts and just see how it feels. Yeah, I think that will serve me nicely. I like this. It's a shame about them, but then again, it's a tool. Doesn't need to look pretty, does it? Just needs to do its job. But that feels really nice. Only thing, this handle needs to be curved round because I can feel it already digging in to my fingers and this part of my hand here. And when we're going to be doing cuts, if I have to, like on the charcuterie board build, I was here for a good 20 minutes just pushing boards through to get everything down to 1 inch thick. So we want to make this really comfortable, so when we have to do loads of cuts, then yeah. But real quickly as well, I just want to see, with the blade fully extended, how close is my hand and fingers to everything. Push it all the way up. It should go to that line up there that I marked. Oh no, it's a bit under. Wonder how that happened. But yeah, well, we can see our hand is never going to touch the blade, even if I'm holding it like this. Still, fingers aren't still going to get anywhere near the blade. So we know we're nice and safe. We know we got all the measurements and everything right. So let's go ahead and we'll round off this whole top section and all this with a router. All right, I've got a little round over bit on in my router. I've put some screws in the sides here so this isn't moving around too much. And what we're going to do is just going to round over all the way along here, all the way back down the back side, flip it over and do the exact same thing. So let's go for it. That is definitely a lot more comfortable now. I'm just going to go over quickly with these corners around the handle with some sandpaper and make sure there's no burrs or nothing that's going to give me splinters. There we go. Handle's nice and comfy now. Push rod's all here. So we are going to be a lot more safer in the workshop now. Really quickly, before we wrap this up, I just want to explain a little bit behind the geometry that we've gone for, because I've realized I haven't really explained a lot of stuff. And if you're following along making this at home, you might think, oh, I want to make my handle go straight up, or I don't want this really long bit sticking out. First of all, the reason we have the handle like this, because when you're pushing it through, you're naturally putting some downward force on the very tip here. And where the tip is going to be is right next to the blade and along the whole thing. So you're naturally pushing down on the workpiece and keeping it flat to the blade, so you don't get any chatter, any vibrations, because when you get chatter and vibrations, pieces of wood can jump up, they can hit the top of the blade, throw pieces of wood around your workshop. So it's important to have that downward pressure, not only for your own safety, but you'll get a better cut. So that's why we have the handle slanted like this. So when we're pushing through, we're naturally pushing down as well as forward, so we can keep a lot of pressure going all the way through the actual cut. And the reason why we have it so long is so when you're starting off behind here, you don't have to have your fingers dead close to the blade to keep that downwards pressure on, and you can have it all the way over here. And because of that, you have, well, you can see for yourself, can't you? It pushes down fairly easily. This little notch here, like I said in the last video, not in the last video, earlier on in the video, the push rod that your table saw comes with, this sticks down a lot. And if you've seen on my channel, I work with a lot of pallet wood and stuff. Let me see if I can just grab a bit. So here is a slat of pallet wood, as you can see. It sticks out just a little bit on the bottom, which is very annoying, because when I'm pushing it through the table saw like this, that little notch can catch on the end of the table saw. And then what I'm doing is I'm adjusting like this, lifting it up, and I'm taking my attention away from the dangerous bit, the blade. And when you're cutting on the table saw, all your attention wants to be on the blade. Table saws are very dangerous. If you feel like you need to educate yourself, just look up table saw injuries, but do it at your own discretion, because they're very graphic. But table saw is a very dangerous tool, so we want to be as safe as possible. If you've been a watcher of my channel for a very long time, you'll know that I didn't respect my old table saw blade. Quite often, never used the push rod, had my fingers really close to the blade. I took the riving knife off of that table saw, which you don't want to take the riving knife off your table saw, because that helps prevent kickback. And, well, I haven't had an injury or anything like that to show me my ways or anything. It's mostly been you guys in the comments telling me, hey, what you're doing is really dangerous, and me basically sitting back and thinking about it. And after sitting back and thinking about it and everything, started using my push rod, started being a bit more safe around everything. Always made sure I had a riving knife in, and I always keep one of these attached to my table saw. It is basically a tourniquet. I don't know if I'm saying that right, tourniquet, is that how you say it? But I think it's very, very important to have one of these on or next to or near your table saw, because injuries can happen like that, and there's no avoiding it really. Even with a push rod, even even using the safest practices, things can still go wrong, things can still happen. I mean, as long as you respect your tools and as long as you do everything safe and correctly, you know, the likelihood of you getting into an accident is very, very slim, but it's not zero. So prepare for the worst. Make tools to make yourself be safer around the table saw. Have the proper equipment if something does go wrong around the table saw, and just use your head. But we're going to quickly wrap up this video. I'm going to put my little logo on it. I'm going to stain it real quickly. Well, not stain it, I'm going to put some hard wax oil on it, and we'll call it there. Right, so we'll leave that video here then, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you like this sort of like how-to content and explaining things behind certain tools and what we're doing. But I think the push rod came out very nice. I mean, it's not exactly pretty. It's plywood and it's got a bunch of scratches in it, but it's a tool, and it's a usable tool, and it's a safe tool. So I'll catch you in the next video. Stay safe, guys. Subscribe, like, comment, and let me know what else you want to see. See you later.